Okay. Number 1 says Liz wants to buy a shirt for $25. How much will Liz's shirt cost in Springfield, rounded up to the nearest cent? In Springfield, there is a 4.1% tax. Tax is a percent markup, an increase. If we normally would pay 100%, we're now paying an additional 4.1%, where I'm paying 104.1% of the cost. If I move my decimal 2 places, that would be 1.041, and I'm going to multiply that by the $25 cost. 25 times 1.041 is 26.025. Because I'm rounding to the nearest cent, this 2 is going to round up to a 3. That's why the correct answer for number 1 is C. In number 2, it says, how much more will her shirt cost in Union City compared to River City? So I've got to calculate the cost in Union City and the cost in River City, and to find out how much more something is, I've got to subtract the 2 values. So again, Union City is 3.2%. If I take that 3.2% and I add 100%, it's 103.2%. So I'm going to take 25 times 1.032. And it gives me $25.80. River City would be 3%. 3% plus 100% is 103%. 25 times 1.03, 25.75. 25.80 in one city, 25.75 in the other city. How much more did it cost? 5 cents more. That's why the correct answer is B. Questions on what I did for number 1 and 2? Am I good? Number 3 says percent of change. Percent change equals the amount that it's changing divided by the original amount. To figure the amount that it changes, you're taking the larger of the 2 numbers, subtracting the smaller of the 2 numbers, and you're going to divide it by the original amount. It went from 25,800, so it went from 25,800 to 42,600. 25,800 was my original amount. When I work this out, 42,600 minus 25,800 is 16,800. And I'm still dividing that by 25,800. When I divide that, it gives me this 0.65116. And I'll get as far as I'm going to go. How many places do I move the decimal to change it back to a percent? 2. So this would be 65.1% rounded to the nearest tenth. Number 4 says, which expression represents the percent of change? So what they want me to do is they want me to show mathematically what it would look like, which is how I worked out number 3. So we'd take the larger number, 8,700. I'd subtract the smaller number, 6,400. And I'm going to divide it by the original amount. What was the original? 8,700. That is why C is the correct answer. For questions on 3 or 4? Can I go? Number 5, a store marks up sporting goods 27%. If they're marking up sporting goods 27%, remember that a markup is being added to the 100% that we normally would pay. So I'm now paying 127%. And as a decimal, that 127% looks like this. So I want to take P times 1.27. Part A would be how much it was marked up, but Part D is going to give me the total cost of that item. In number 6, a toy store marks down every item by 15%. How much does a toy cost during January? So if I normally pay 100%, I'm marking it down 15%. I'm now only paying 85%. And as a decimal, that's 0.85. So I have to take 0.85 times P. Questions on how to write the expression for 5 and 6. Number 7, a market buys mixed nuts at $12.50 per pound and wants to make a 22% profit. If I want to make a profit, am I marking it up or marking it down? I'm marking it up. I normally would charge 100%, but to make a profit, I'm going to charge an additional 22%. In other words, I'm now going to charge 122% of what it cost me. So I'm taking $12.50 times 1.22. If I take $12.50 times 1.22, I'm going to find out that it should be charging $15.25 per pound. I real quick want to talk about things that I could cross out on number 8, just to me test taking skills. If it was $48 and I'm being charged tax, what can you tell me about the cost of the item? It's got to be what? More. Which two can I automatically cross out? There is no way A or B could be my answer. Okay? Now, since it is a markup, if I normally charge 100% and I'm charging an additional 7%, I'm now at a rate of 107% for the cost. So I'm taking 48 times 1.07. That's the 100% and the 7%. I'm doing it all in one step. And if I multiply that out, it's going to give me 5136. If you ended up with A as an answer, you simply only have the amount that the tax was.
How do you know if it's a markup and what thing?
You have to know a little bit about the words. Tax is always what? A markup. If it says you want to make a profit, it's a what? Mark up. Profit. If they say it's a discount or a sale, it's a what? It's a mark down. And you have to know the words, the vocabulary, just a little bit to figure out whether you're adding it or taking it away. A tip is a mark up or down? Up. It's an addition to. Okay? Everybody good on 7 and 8? Am I good now? Number 9. This is a simple interest problem. I equals PRT. This $3,500, that's my principal. My rate is my percent as a decimal. Remember that if you have 2.3%, I still have to move that decimal 2 places. 0.023. How long did they say that I was doing this? Does anybody see it? It says, what is the annual interest? How many years is annual? Every year. 1. That's what goes in for my time. It says, what is the annual interest for principal at this amount? So I take that 3,500 times 0.023, and I could multiply it by 1 again. It's going to give me $540.50. No, I did 20. I don't know why I did that number. It's not right. I put in the wrong number in my calculator. 3,500 times 0.023. There we go. $80.50. What would C represent? A represents the interest. Yeah, it's the interest plus that total. So if I borrowed it, it'd be how much I had to pay back. If I put it in the bank, it'd be how much was in my bank at the end of the year. Okay? Number 10 is a review question. Notice where it starts. What is it starting at? 1.5. I need to make sure I'm starting at 1.5. Am I adding to it or taking away? I'm taking away. So that eliminates adding. And am I going to the left or to the right? I'm going to the left. So I am taking away this positive number. I'm taking away a total of 1, 2 whole units. There isn't any work to show for number 10. Ready? Good with 9 and 10?
Yeah.
Flip it over. Let's look at the back. Anytime it says what is one way to find something, just show how you'd find it. Don't try to write it out in words. How would I find the total cost of a jacket if the sales tax was 2.7%? Well, one way would be to take 100% plus 2.7%, 102.7, and take 55.80 times 1.027. If I did that, it'd come up with 57.31. That's one way. It says, what's another way to find it? Well, I could take 55.80 times 0.027. If I do that, it's going to come up to $1.51. And then I would take my 55.80 plus my $1.51 of tax, and it will give me 57.31. So there's both methods to work it out. Do I really care what method you use?
No.
Whichever works best for you. Number 13. The price of a $250 coat increased 7%. Is that a markup or a markdown? Markup, because it increased. The coat is now on sale for 1/2 off. Is that going to be up or down? That's going to be down. What is the sale price? Well, the first thing I have to do is figure out how much it increased or what the total would have been. So if I'm looking at that, I would have had 100% plus the 7%, or 107%. So I had $250 times 1.07. If I take 250 times 1.07, it gives me 267.50. That's what it was at the end of last year when I marked it up. Now what did they do? Now they put it on sale for half off. If I take half off, how much am I actually paid? So really, all I have to do is take this 267.50 and divide it by 2. And when I do that, it's going to give me 133.75. Questions on 11 through 13? Am I good? Can I go on? 14 and 15 use the same table. Number 14 says find the percent of change. Remember, percent of change is just a formula. It's equal to the amount of change divided by the original amount. And they want me to find it for Centerville and round to the nearest tenth of a percent. Okay? Well, here's Centerville. The amount of change would be 37,065 minus 26,102. And I'm going to divide that by my original amount, 37,065. Now, when I do the math in the numerator, it comes up to 10,936 divided by 37,065. If I do that, it gives me 0.2950. How many places am I going to move my decimal? 1, 2. So I get 29.5%. And I don't want that 0 there because they asked for the nearest what? 10th. So I'm only going to keep one place behind the decimal point. Number 15, it says which town has the greatest percent increase. I actually could look at them and tell. But if you can't, you actually have to calculate it out. This one was 29.5%. I would subtract these two. So I'd have 51,000 minus 45,863. That's 5,479. And what would I take that 5,479 and divide it by? 51,342. When I do this, this comes up to 0.10, and I'm going to just round it. So this is 10.7%. I take 63,000 minus 41,000 here. This is a 21,291 difference. And I divide that by the original, 41,726. And as a decimal, this comes up to 0.5102. If I move the decimal 2 places, this would be 51.0%. Which town had the greatest percent? Riverview. And the percentage was 51.0%. Questions on 14 or 15? Number 16. A clerk is marking up merchandise. 34%. It's a markup, so I take 100% and the 34% and add them together. I'm now paying 134%. So I take 455 times 1.34. When I do that, I get $609.70. Number 17 is a multi-step problem. At the end of the summer, a store marks down all of the outdoor furniture 18%. Mark up or mark down? Mark down. A family bought 4 chairs in June. Well, that's before they were marked down, wasn't it? At $35. They bought 4 at $35. So we can figure out how much those 4 chairs cost them. 4 times 35 is $140 for those 4 chairs. Okay? They bought 2 more when they went on sale. So I've got to figure out what the sale price was. I take that 100%, I take 18% off, and I find out that they're going to pay 82% of that price. So I take 35 times 0.82. So on the 2 chairs, they paid what? $28.70. For those 2 chairs, then they paid $57.40. How much did they pay altogether? 140 plus $57.40. They paid $197.40. Questions on 16 or 17? Well, good. Oops. 18. A shopper paid $51.93 including tax for an item that's marked $48.99. How can I find out how much tax there was? The amount of change divided by the original amount. What's the original amount here?
51.
What's the original amount before tax? What's the original amount before tax? $48.99. And the amount that it was marked up, we'd take that $51.93 and subtract $48.99. And you're going to find out that the percentage, whoops, this would have been 290. When you divide this, it's going to come up to this, 0.06. What's that percentage? 6%. That's how much the tax was. So if I bought a $75 item, I'd take 75 times 1.06. $79.50. Pretty good for 18? You get the hiccups? Need to go get some water? Number 19, You'll notice it says simple interest. I equals PRT. Interest equals 8,000 times my rate, 0.015, times my time, 3 years. So the amount of interest is $360. It says, what is the total? So what do I have to do with the 360? I've got to take 8,000 plus the 360. $8,360. Yep. Not going to get to the mastery, are we?
Number 13 is what? We probably have a look on it.
8,360.
Never
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get to it. Mine. Number 20. You have to do this in 2 pieces. You've got to figure out how much tax they're going to pay. 1550 times 0.08. They'll pay $1.24 in tax. You take 1550 times 0.15. They're going to leave a $2.33 tip. I took 1550 times 8%. I took 1550 times 15%. That's where these two numbers came from. Now I'm going to take my 1550. I'm going to add the tax to it, $1.24. I'm going to add the tip to it, $2.33. And I'm going to find out that I paid $19.07. Number 21 is a complete review. Y equals kx. K equals y over x when you're talking about a proportional relationship. Remember that in order to write the equation, the only thing I have to find is what? K. That's the only thing I have to find. And I do that by taking y and dividing it by x. So I've got 65 for y, and I've got 10 for x. Oops. That comes up to k equals 6.5.
Number under 65.
10. So y equals, replace k with 6.5, x.
We still have time for the math.
We can squeeze it in. Shouldn't take that long.